Well, it's been a great 2 days for the Ministry of Finance, not only for me as Minister, but also for our staff and our Permanent Secretary. It gave an opportunity for us to have a sense of the issues and perhaps areas that we would have to focus in the formulation of the next budget. We obviously looked at the projects, the maintenance, construction of infrastructure, which was directly handled by the Ministry of Finance. And we wanted to get a sense of where we are in all this. And I think what we got and what we heard and what we see suggest that moving forward, the government will have to, the Ministry of Finance and the whole budget process will have to put in a carefully planned process and budgetary allocations so that we can do the urgent, appropriate maintenance of government infrastructure, particularly those in the health sector. We've looked at hospitals, we've looked at subdivisional hospitals, we've looked at health centers, nursing stations, and the way in which some of these infrastructure has been led to be in a state of some kind of dilapidation can be fixed with not huge amounts of funding, but perhaps appropriate allocation of funding, and if done properly, we can address all this. So that was one aspect of the visit. As you know, we are already in the process of consulting on the budget, the number of processes that have been put in place, including the work that will be done by the Fiscal Review Committee, and then followed on by the work that will be done as part of the National Economic Summit. But more importantly for me as Minister of Finance, as well as our ministry staff, it is important to have an understanding of across the government, priorities and where we can allocate appropriate expenditure. Of course, we have set the budget process in the sense that we have already started discussions with some ministries. Some are working on preparing their submissions, and I think there is quite a sense of appreciation and understanding by the different ministers and ministries as to the challenge ahead for us to formulate a budget that will not only address some of the urgent priority issues, not only in the social sectors, but also other economic sectors, as well as creating a balance between expenditure, revenue, and looking at the appropriateness of the tax system as part of our budget process. We are mindful that we want to formulate a budget which is going to balance our objectives in our social sector and balance our objectives in the recovery. We don't want to do anything that will stall the recovery, which is very good, and we expect that in 2024-25 we will set a upward trajectory in terms of reasonable sustained levels of growth of around 5% or more, and that will set us on a foundation for not only fiscal consolidation but also a growth path that would be sustainable and would give us enough room to create that balance and look after the interest of our people. As you know, we, contrary to what some might say, the government in its first month allocated $50 million to ensure that our children, every kid from preschool right up to high school, got $200 just before the school opened. That was a very critical, timely assistance appreciated by parents and children throughout the country. We've been told everywhere we went, we visited a lot of schools as well, to look at the damage that was done by Cyclone Yasa. Sadly, some school kids were still or are still studying in tents, and that's why we are saying that there is an urgency to look at some of those schools and see how the Ministry of Finance can facilitate the construction and the upgrade of those facilities.